Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Episode 1, or AoStH. The title of the show's too long, so I'm just gonna call it Adventures of Sonic. So this is the comedy show for the kiddies, right? I know I hate Scratch and Grounder with their stupid voices and nonsensical arguing. I know I don't like the intro, it's just pointless silliness and animated backgrounds that don't really tell you anything or give any context. I mean, I prefer SATM's settings and tone and characters easily. It's just a shame that the show has so many different problems. Maybe this show, despite lacking a good setting, will be more consistently good? Sonic runs around a canyon and he holds hands with Tails briefly when he's flying, but that was totally pointless as he soon lets go and runs ahead without him. And Tails just flies there like an idiot instead of going after him right away. Huh? Already I'm saying that. Huh? Sonic says that he sees civilization. So was he spending a really long time beforehand trying to get to civilization? Why wasn't he living in civilization beforehand? Where is his home? And it seems like Scratch and Grounder are talking about springing a trap right behind them, and they still don't hear them. Then they annoyingly celebrate about catching Sonic in a trap. I really hate these voices. They're just as bad as I expected them to be. Sonic says that they don't want to defeat them and reminds them of how they first met. We see a robot with an impressively normal human voice looking for a party for bounty hunters, who apparently are bad guys, when normally bounty hunters are about looking for criminals. Robotnik is talking to the bounty hunters, who are robots, which makes sense. And it seems like this is the first time he's sending them all against Sonic. How old is Sonic at this point? Why does he bother wasting the time making a speech like this instead of having the robots already programmed to go after Sonic? This is why SATM makes more sense, because he just has the robots, as you'd expect robots to be. They have no free will and they're programmed to do what he wants. I guess he really wanted to relieve the stress by making a big dramatic speech by declaring Sonic as Mobius's most wanted fugitive. This reminds me of Fleetway, where the exact same thing happens without the speech. Apparently, Mobiums are the currency of Mobius. Every time something like this happens, it makes no sense. The only way Mobium would make sense as a name is if it was named that way by aliens who just came to Mobius and named the currency after the planet. Wouldn't it just be called dollars? Him offering a bounty for Sonic as the ruler of the world is just like in Fleetway Sonic. But at least here he's talking to robots, so they wouldn't have the free will to not take up his offer anyways. So they're robots, so they'd be programmed to like this. But why would he offer money to robots? Wouldn't they all just be his slaves? Sonic was sitting between the bounty hunters the entire time the speech was going on, and they still took forever to actually notice him. Even after Robotnik showed a giant picture of him on a curtain. I feel like this episode is written like a disaster. There's just no logic to it at all. He makes Robotnik cry, making him look like a pathetic, bumbling idiot. Seriously, like, this puts the ending of Unleashed to shame. Making me wonder why people think Season 2 SATM Robotnik was a bumbling idiot, when I still took him seriously. He still had a threatening voice and stuff. So why did they have this Robotnik have black and red eyes when he's not serious at all? It seems like a really confused design for him. They could make him look like classic Eggman and it would have been a lot more honest. Sonic runs off with Tails, and he dresses up like a circus man and leads the bounty hunters off a cliff through his tent. I heard about this from Sonic Dissected before I saw this. This is brilliant visual humor that, while I didn't find it funny at all, it's the kind of humor Color should have had because it's action-y, even if it's much more Looney Tunes than Sonic. The problem is, where did Sonic get all of that stuff? That's not getting me invested. I had assumed that he was already near a circus. Instead, he gets a circus tent and stuff out of nowhere. Like, it would make more sense if the whole episode was about him being on a circus. Then Sonic leads the robots on a water skiing trip to make them slam into walls. Again, how did he get his hands on that equipment? Is he a wizard who magically magics stuff up? Even Ixis teleport stuff to him all the time. He also gets his hands on a green outfit and an apple out of nowhere and puts the apple on his head. He shows off his super speed by dodging a bounty hunter's attack, and it gets him hit by a tree. I hope that defeated him. It angered me when Tails said, "We sure showed them," because Tails did absolutely nothing. It lacks self-awareness. Is this going to be a constant theme throughout the whole show? Just having Tails there doesn't make up for him being just as worthless as he was in Sad AM. Am I seriously expected to believe that Tails contributed just as much as Sonic did? There's a giant filler scene with Robotnik talking to himself and doing stuff while looking goofy, for no reason. If he's not talking to anyone in particular, what's the point of his sidekicks? Shouldn't they be the ones he's always talking to? Oh, now he makes a scratch. That's why he was talking to himself. Okay, I love that he's acting like a newly born person if he was able to talk. Like, he asked him if he's his mother. It's realistic of him to react this way when he's first created. He's being cowardly. And I don't think he's ever cowardly again. So, does he reprogram him to not be a coward anymore after this? Then why doesn't he reprogram him in other ways? Robotnik makes a twin of him with a feather off him. Wait, so here he makes robots with organic stuff with DNA on them. Well, that's creative, like they're organic robot hybrids. So why doesn't he just make infiltrator robots of Sonic and Tails already? He clearly has the technology. Just take their fur and do that. Apparently, Grounder is his twin brother despite looking nothing like him. This is hard to believe. They waste time arguing when they shouldn't be programmed to do that. And I was disappointed by what an annoying voice Coconuts has. Why would he be given the free will to decide to go after Sonic in a machine by himself? This is pointless. Robotnik should tell him to do it. His voice is so lame. Is there no competent villain on the show? That's a problem! And since Sonic wasn't suspicious of seeing someone who looked like a monkey Mobian making chili dogs, not only does it make Sonic look like a complete idiot, but this implies that this isn't a world where almost everyone was turned into a robot, like in Sad AM the comic. I don't see the point of Coconut's disguising himself, other than to give Sonic a taste of his own medicine. He goes after Sonic with the machine making him run, but then out of nowhere, Sonic makes the machine explode. Like, I looked away for just a few seconds when typing the review, and already he won! I'll see how he won in the video when I watch it again, of course. But I don't care. That wasn't a satisfying victory for Sonic, who honestly feels like a Gary Stu, the male version of a Mary Sue in the show. Because what flaw has he shown so far? Other than being annoyingly smug, but that's only point out as a problem to the villains. There's some more worthless filler with bad music because Scratch and Grounder brag about having a plan against Sonic, and they want Robotnik to be the most proud of them over their brother. Is it really necessary to make them twin brothers, not just brothers? But yeah, this will be a constant theme, so I'll try not to mention it again. In fact, maybe I should just skip these scenes if I can from now on. After all, we'll see what trap they're talking about when we see Sonic dealing with them anyways. Do these scenes ever add anything? Sonic humiliates them with their trap by letting go of a string and making a bunch of stuff fall on Grounder. I gotta say, it's hard for the show to keep my attention. Somehow, Scratch is able to make a lady that Sonic finds appealing from his hands alone despite being a robot, and that briefly fools Sonic. You see, even Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog realized that Sonic can, like, fall in love with women before the games did. Like, Sonic loved, like, Elise, I guess, but that was it. But seriously, how did he do that? How did he make that lady? Sonic goes underground and then gets a doctor disguise out of complete nowhere. Look, I don't care that this is supposed to be just a cartoon. This is still insulting my intelligence, and that's not fun. How did he get that disguise? And he tells Grounder and Scratch that he'll examine them, and they buy it completely. So somehow, do they regularly go to normal doctors? No, I'm sure their only doctor would be Robotnik. He then makes them fall into the hole. This whole show is nothing but Sonic effortlessly humiliating these worthless, annoying robots with stuff that he has no reason to have at all. thus making all the victories unsatisfying and the whole show look like Scary Stu fanfiction written by Sonic himself, maybe I was right to dread this show. Tails gets kidnapped insultingly easily, and Sonic goes with the robots and gets put in a cage to try to keep Tails safe. Then Coconut shows up as a Chekhov's gunman because he wants to be the one to beat Sonic. So he ties up the robots. I do like this. It's interesting. Sonic predictably starts being manipulating to escape as he tricks Coconut into bringing the robots into the cage because somehow the rope won't stay, and he buys it, and he gets out of the cage. You know, sociopaths tend to be very manipulating too, and this seems to be a constant theme with Sonic. Why doesn't he just kill these robots? Spin dash them apart at the speed of sound? Is he a sadistic jerk who wants to keep them alive to make them suffer the whole show? When he'd be better off just saving himself the trouble. He creates a sandstorm with the super speed and humiliates Robotnik. Okay, so the robots have been shattered apart, but Robotnik's still going to rebuild them because Sonic left their parts there. I'm sure Robotnik would just replace them even if he did get rid of those parts, but still. How did Sonic even escape the trap by Scratch anyways? I had to look back at the video again to see that he spin dashed to cut the rope. But, like, he did it so fast that... Why did he waste all that time talking to Scratch about how he first met him, instead of just immediately cutting the rope? That's the weakest excuse for a flashback episode ever. The episode ends without complete nowhere, us getting a message about how we should call 911 during an emergency. Shouldn't that be obvious to everyone, ever? And we don't actually get to see Sonic putting out the fire to the house, like with the tornado, which would have been a good hero moment, establishing that the civilians consider him to be the hero Mobius. We don't even see the regular civilians' feelings about Sonic. Since the moral of the story here has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the episode, and just comes out of nowhere, the Sonic Says moments seem to feel really out of place, like they're just there as condescending executive meddling for a kids show, when I already feel like the show's treating me like a stupid little kid anyways. I had a whole bunch of problems with Sad AM, and that was the good Sonic cartoon. So now I'm dreading the rest of them because I actually like the pilot of that show compared to Sonic wins effortlessly over and over again like he's the Roadrunner. What evil is Robotnik actually doing to justify Sonic fighting him exactly? Because he hasn't done anything yet other than declare Sonic his enemy. I haven't seen him pollute anything. So why should I care? Okay, this show seems to suck. Maybe that was just a terrible pilot, but I have a feeling the whole show is gonna be like this because it's the episodic comedic show. I have a feeling the whole show is gonna be this empty. All of Sonic's victories are unsatisfying. They make no sense because there's no logical reason Sonic would have any of the various props he uses for humiliating robots effortlessly. There's no tension whatsoever to get me invested and interested because he's always being smug. He's never taken anything seriously. Sometimes he escaped from and beat the robot so fast that I looked away for just a few seconds while typing my review and he already won. And I only had some idea how he won because he won that fast and easily. And constantly pausing the video every time I want to type something down, the review would be tedious because obviously I'd have to cut that out of the video itself. Sonic doesn't have a concrete home, and we don't see how the regular civilians react to him. He doesn't have a concrete village he lives in. So combine this with his easy victories over and over again, way too many in one episode, and he doesn't feel relatable and sympathetic at all compared to Tails and Fleetway in his solo ventures, where he was sympathetic and relatable because he's the underdog, struggling and earning his victories. Going from just winning by accident to genuinely being capable. Here, Tails was completely worthless, not doing anything at all, and Sonic didn't even have any sweet moments with him, like hugging him or ruffling his hair. I don't care that it's an action series, it should still have some sweet moments every once in a while. If Scratch and Grounder and Coconuts are gonna have such lame voices and bicker with each other for every single episode, why should I care? Why should I look forward to the rest of the episodes if they're all gonna be like this? As awful as his voice is, I loved that Coconuts was an independent agent who defeated Scratch and Grounder. It's like he's almost there, almost a hero. Like when it comes to his actions. But why? Why do any of these guys have the free will to bicker with each other and stuff? Why would Robotnik make them like that? Why wouldn't he program that out of him right away? How stupid do they think I am? I guess Robotnik's too lazy to think of traps by himself since he's a worthless buffoon in the show. So he makes the robots capable of thinking the traps up by themselves, and that just requires independent thought. But you'd think he'd still put limitations on them, like a loyalty clause, so they can't sabotage each other like this. The whole episode falls apart from lack of logic because of this, and Sonic getting stuff he shouldn't have to win, like a Gary Stu fanfiction over glorifying him. This is how a Sonic show would be if it was written by Sonic himself. And that's not a compliment, because Sonic's not a genius, and there'd be some severe bias for Sonic himself there. I can't care about a show if there's no logic to it. And the show feels empty, hollow, and barren when it comes to its world. All we have is Sonic and Tails for the heroes, the robots with annoying voices that I hope are saved for special occasions on the show, but probably aren't. And a few Mobians just start to be pathetic civilians for Sonic to save. You know what Sonic continuity did the light-hearted tone right? Not Sonic Colors, definitely not this, but Fleetway Sonic. Fleetway Sonic and Archie did this better, because I actually care about those continuities. This is just brainless, mindless silliness, insulting my intelligence with pretty colors, and the fact that some people think the entire series should be this way just makes me sick. This is more Sonic if it was imitating Looney Tunes. And honestly, it doesn't work for me. He needs some edge to work. I mean, the series is called Sonic the Hedgehog, so the word edge is literally in the name. SatM had seriousness to balance things out properly, like you would for an actual story that's competently written. It has tension for the villains, since that's the whole point, and then Sonic wins for the lightheartedness. I'm not angry at the show when I'm watching it, but I am very bored and detached from it. Like, you can hear the exasperation in my voice, and that doesn't show up for no reason. The only thing this show has got is that it's got robots with no humans in sight, other than Robotnik, while Sonic X is in the boring, realistic human world, missing the point of Sonic. But even Sonic X, at least from what I saw of Sonic F, seem to have episodes with a proper structure. They escalate the tension where there's one villainous plot for the whole episode, and then it's foiled at the end. It's not just Sonic winning 7 times. I'll review the rest of the show out of obligation, because I want to experience the whole Sonic series, but I wouldn't be surprised if I like the Sonic X comic more than this. At least it takes itself somewhat seriously. SatM may have a huge laundry list of problems, mainly because of Antoine, but at least its overall feel gets me invested in respecting it right away because of its concrete setting in history, villains that actually work as proper threats, and a properly sized cast. Its general thing works. This show is the polar opposite of SatM because its overall feel is alienatingly silly, kiddie, and empty, and it just has a few problems numerically. Sonic wins effortlessly with stuff he shouldn't even have, and the villains are really annoying, probably on the same level as Antoine, and there's more than one of them. There's only a few problems, but those few problems are major enough to make the show irritating, boring, and incredibly unengaging as far as I'm concerned. So, if you want a negative look on the show, probably because you prefer SatM, here I am, and don't expect much different, because I don't feel like I got anything out of the first episode. And I don't feel like I was missing anything by missing out on this show. It's boring.